Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us for our one structural Balcony1 division SB326 and SB721 balcony and deck inspection and repair munch and learn webinar today. I'm Helen and this is Myra. And we will be going over all of the SB326 and SB721 rules, protocols, steps, if you're affected, and basically what to do. If you have any questions, feel free to enter them in the chat, whichever side it is for your view, and we'll do our best to get to them, especially after we stop sharing our screen. So we'll answer everybody's questions, but hopefully they will all be answered as we do as we go through our presentation. So I'm going to share our screen. Everyone should hopefully be able to see that. And we will begin. Patty will hopefully be joining us. She's actually in the field at an inspection right now. She has the link. So if she is able to hop on, everybody will get to meet her. If not, I'll share all of our information so you guys can contact us with any future questions or if you want any free quotes. So we're Balcony1. We're part of One Structural. Our other divisions are Retrofit 1, ADU 1, and of course Balcony1. We are HOA and multifamily experts. So all of our specialties and construction really only pertain to communities, multifamily, apartment buildings, and so forth. So SB326 and SB721 were both actually created in around 2018, effective 2019. And unfortunately, this was created after the 2017 UC Berkeley accident where the balcony collapsed and several students died. And that was due to a few reasons. The wrong structural wood was actually used. And then, of course, on top of that was a lot of water damage, water intrusion, compromising the structural elements. And there was also, I believe, a heavier load than there should have been on that balcony too. But if the building owner, management, or landlord had to do these inspections, it could have possibly have been avoided. But luckily, the state has passed this, so now we can potentially avoid accidents like that in the future. So what this does is it focuses on what's called exterior elevated elements. You'll see it abbreviated as EEE throughout our presentation. So these are features in your apartment building or condo community that are, as the name suggests, they protrude out of the building. They have to be at least 6 feet high, meant for human load. Things such as balconies, decks, walkways, catwalks, bridges, landings for stairways, and so forth. And we have to check for water intrusion, dry rot, any type of structural compromise that have happened to the element, just to make sure if there's any damage or anything like that that would pose a serious risk to the humans on top of it or below. So this little diagram is something that we made to just help you determine if your building applies or is subject to the SB721 and SB326. Oh, nice. Here, I'm going to let Patty in. Here she is. Hi, Patty. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. A little late because I'm actually on an on-site inspection this morning.
Very nice. I let everybody know you're on the field at an inspection right now. So we have some live action from Patty, as always. Thank you, Patty. So we were just going into this kind of easy diagram to follow. So it starts here at the top left with your building. Does your building have 3 or more dwelling units? So these rules or these bills do apply to only 3 units or more. So if you have a single family home or a duplex, you are exempt. Although obviously if you have any issues with your balconies, you should probably still get them fixed regardless. So do you have 3 or more units? If yes, go to the next one. Is your building wood framed? So something we always like to point out, even if your building is covered in stucco and it looks as if it's not wood framed, there's a large chance it is. Of course, it could be made with other materials such as steel and so forth. Sometimes CMU, non-ductile concrete. But in this case, this applies to wood framing, which is often always stuccoed on top. So if you do have a wood frame building, you would keep going. are the elements 6 feet above ground. So if you have a single story fourplex, you don't have to do anything, unless of course you have like a rooftop deck with like a protruding balcony or something like that. But if you have a single story building, you're exempt. You would go to no, and then no inspection is required. However, if you meet all 3 of those requirements, 3 or more units, wood framed 6 feet above the ground, then yes, you do need one. It's just a matter of which type of inspection. Are you a common interest development, so an HOA condo community? If so, you have to do SB326. If this is an apartment building with a landlord or several landlords, but it is not common interest, not condos, not HOA, then you would do SB721. So these are some of the general rules. I don't know why it's cut off, but I'll talk about SB326. So SB326, again, for HOAs and condos, you have to do every 9 years. However, the first deadline is still the same, which is coming up January 1st, 2025. That's only in a year and a half. And remember from that diagram, any building with 3 or more units that's at least 2 stories with those EEEs has to get inspected. That's hundreds of thousands of buildings, if not more, across California. So a year and a half may seem like a lot of time, but it's not. Even our load right now, if somebody signs up, they're not going to get seen for a few months, actually, which is fine. They're going to be on time, but just keep in mind that this wait list is going to grow and grow, especially as procrastinators hit closer to 2025. So I think even in a year from now, if you don't book this within a year, your wait list will put you past 2025, especially if you want to get in with a company that meets all of these requirements to do the inspections. So for SB 326 with HOAs and condos, there are very specific requirements for who has to do the inspection. So this is what you need to make sure. If you don't use us and you go with somebody else, make sure they're either a licensed structural engineer or architect doing your inspection and report. This is a little different from SB 721 for landlords and apartments. They can be, I believe, civil engineers, not structural. So this is something very key for SB 326. SB 721, do you want to speak about those rules?
So SB 721 is every 5 years. There has to be 6 years. Every 15% of each element of its kind needs to be inspected. So an element can mean a balcony, walkways, decks, landing. So basically anything exterior above 6 feet.
And so as Myra mentioned, for SB 721, because this only pertains to landlords, this has to be done every 6 years for the entire building and 15% of each element. So let's say you have 100 balconies, 100 walkways, 100 landings, 15% of each must be inspected. Whereas for SB 326, the rule says there has to be a 95% certainty, which basically means practically every element has to be inspected. And then just to go over it again, these are the type of elements that Myra went over already. Things such as balconies, decks, stairways, walkways, landings. Even from this diagram, you can kind of see some repairs we were doing in Pasadena for these exterior elevated elements. So for SB 326, almost every single element, if not basically all of them, must get inspected, compared to SB 721 for apartment buildings, 15% of each element must get inspected. Patty, do you want to describe the differences on those inspections between like visual and the more invasive ones?
Yes, of course. So with SB 326, although you have a higher quantity to inspect, you also have a little bit more of not leniency, but it's not we're not hacking into the building and we're not like drilling excessively. So how the inspection process goes is, first and foremost, we inspect 100% of the elements visually. So all mandated elements get inspected 100%. That is considered phase 1 inspections. Once those inspections are conducted, And by visual methods, you're talking about infrared imaging, moisture readings, and also, our physical inspections. We test the force on the railing systems, the connecting systems, the waterproofing membrane. We check its integrity. So those are all quote unquote visual techniques. And then out of those 100% elements, how many elements are flagged for further observation? They move on to our phase 2 inspection for SB326. And phase 2 inspection is basically borehole drilling and then inserting an endoscopic camera and observing the actual wood framing that we are able to see with the camera itself. So after these boreholes are drilled and we insert the camera, our observations are completed, we go ahead and actually cap it with a fire rated vent, which allows circulation in that element for future casualties. Hopefully not, but in the event, it definitely gives you some circulation on that actual element. And then we render the report on X amount of days. Now, the difference with SB721, and again, SB326, you're talking about HOAs, and then SB721, you're talking about apartments. That difference between the SB326 is a little bit more. You basically have to do phase 1 and phase 2 in conjunction, as opposed to just having the option to visually inspect. Because it is an apartment building, and I'm sure there's bigger liability behind all the common areas. They want us to inspect through borehole drilling and endoscopic imaging all of the elements we inspect. So although it's less, 15%, all of them must be inspected in the method of visual, and then also in the method of actual borehole drilling and inserting the endoscopic camera. So very similar. I mean, we at the end of the day, we kind of end up doing the same thing. We just do it in different processes for SB326, and then a different process for SB721, 15% of each element of its kind, and then 326, basically 100% to reach our confidence levels.
Awesome. Thank you, Patty. So yeah, as she mentioned, because there's a smaller sample with SB721, we have to be a little bit more thorough with the select sample that we're inspecting. Whereas for the HOA, since we're inspecting all of them, we only have to be more thorough with stuff that we're able to flag through phase 1. So I guess it kind of has a little bit of a balance. And so this is just like Patty mentioned, this is our principal, David, drilling these boreholes on the underside of the elements, in which after this borehole, it's about 3-inch diameter, I believe. That's when we can insert the endoscopic camera and really see inside of the element, see all of the structural components, and of course, detect any damage if there is any. So this is basically a little sample of what's going to be in your report. So again, just to summarize, whether you're doing SB326 or SB721, inspection is first. That could take anywhere from 1 day to several weeks, depending on the size of your property. HOA communities with multiple buildings and hundreds of elements will obviously take longer. One SB721 building with a walkway and a balcony is going to take less than a day. After those inspections are completed, what we have to do, or any company that you work with, must provide you with a written report that has basically all of the details and the rundown of what was inspected, what we discovered, what was found, and we accompany all of that. As you can see, I know it's a little dark or grainy. It's much better quality in real life, but you will have the respective photos and imaging that we captured per element, which will be referenced in the report itself as well. So that way, this will help you not have to worry about, at least with us, telling you, oh, unit 1A's balcony is damaged, you need it repaired. You'll see the proof if we share that information with you. Or if they're in good condition, you'll also see the good condition that they're in. And of course, anything with recommended repairs, you're going to see the proof and evidence paired with it in these figures. So we're going to, of course, inspect all your load-bearing elements, your waterproofing for your decks on the top. We will note and the condition of them. We give them a rating and kind of this matrix. We let you know your expected future performance and recommendations for repairs. There are certain things that are protocols that we have to follow depending on the severity of any damage or issue. Any type of repair, you don't have to fix for a few months. Actually, you have some time. But if there is like a severe dire hazard to public safety, we do have to flag that. It has to be blocked off from any use, and then you're on a shorter timeline to get that repaired, since of course somebody could die and there's a lot of liability there. So
Also,
here's
just kind of, key factor. You want to make sure that when you are receiving these reports, whether it's from us or from another vendor or another qualified contractor, whoever the individual is, that these points are addressed on the actual report, because I've seen copies where we're bidding on the actual reconstructive repairs and it doesn't have the points that you're supposed to outline per the actual bill. So if you read the literature, it actually tells you this needs to be pointed out, this needs to be pointed out, this needs to be pointed out. And there's some reports that are very slim, they have the bare minimum, and I'm reading it and I'm like, wait, where are the points? So just be very cautious and alert to the actual content of the report. You don't want to get something, yes, it's a report, yes, it was significantly cheaper, but it doesn't actually meet the expectations of the bill. So that's a big pointer, just because I run into that here and there.
Absolutely. I mean, again, it's liability. Not only do you want to concentrate on what's in your report, but just going back to square one, who is doing your report? So if you're SB326, you need to make sure that the proper license is there and the proper experience is there for whomever you go with. Same with SB721. So just here's some samples that we're going to go through of these certain elements so you can see them in their condition. Here's, of course, balconies. We've all seen those. Here's like a stairway with a landing and a deck. If this is over 6 feet, got to get that inspected. Tier 2, more exterior stairways and landings that are over 6 feet, protrudes from the building. These are some walkways. A lot of buildings, they may think, oh, I don't have balconies, but you have all of these internal walkways and catwalks even that like connect the buildings together. These absolutely have to be inspected. They're meant for human load. They're over 6 feet. So what we do here when it's okay, then how do you break this down? Let's say you're considering this 2 long walkways. We break this down by linear feet. So if it's 100 linear feet, we would break it down every so often, every like 10 to 20 feet, something like that, to consider that one element each. And that's how we determine the number of elements to get inspected and where we inspect for these longer walkways, bridges, and pathways.
And these are randomized sampling, so we don't choose like, hey, this is the best. This is like, it's random sampling and gives our actual observation. So, just random sampling.
So here's some images of some waterproofing being installed. Here's more steps with the waterproofing. So this is all of the stuff that kind of goes underneath. So you may think everything's fine, but if your waterproofing is compromised or breached, you're going to have a lot of issues with the structural components underneath, because the moment they get wet and they start rotting and deteriorating, that's when you have a severe problem. So here's more samples of work we've done. Basically, when you strip away everything that's visually on the exterior, this is a lot of the stuff that we see and have to repair.
And our work is all permitted. So we only work with permitted work. So when we're dealing with such items that are structurally, repairs, then we're going to have to pull a permit.
Exactly. So here's some more samples of the inspection going on, borehole drilling, endoscopic camera. Here's the infrared technology on that third picture of how we can detect moisture, dryness, everything in between when we are looking inside the element. Here's again more samples of load-bearing elements.
That one particularly, we added that column, so it needed additional support after we rendered the inspections. So we went ahead and provided a proposal on the addition of the column, and that's the process. And at the very end, you can see it installed and painted in. Looks like nothing.
Right. And that's about it. So if you have any questions, this is our website, our phone number. We make it really easy to contact us. You'll always be able to reach a live person. Even if that person you want isn't available, they'll always get back to you within 24 hours. We serve, honestly, I would like to say almost all of California. SoCal is our main area, but if you have something in NorCal, especially if it's a larger HOA community, we are able to serve that as well. And we do everything from your inspections, repairs, because it is permitted now that whomever does your inspection can do the repair as long as they have the proper licenses. We provide engineering and plans. We have in-house engineers, in-house architects, and of course, we're licensed general contractors as well. So we do everything. This is going to be up on our YouTube page alongside of multiple other educational videos. And we're always available for lunch and learns, HOA meetings, board meetings, whatever it is. We can help provide information and education. Yeah, lunch and learns, everything like that to help provide education to your team and help guide you through every step needed. If you need anything else, give us a call or email us. And that was our presentation for today. I'm Helen. This is Myra. Thank you, Patty. And this is our Balcony1 division with One Structural. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.